Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has written another letter to President Muhammadu Buhari warning that Nigeria is heading towards a looming disaster. And also, the national leader of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has criticized claims that the killers of Funke Olakunrin, daughter of leader of Afenifere Reuben Fashoranti, were herdsmen. I am Maryann, Okon, and this is Plus Politics. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has written an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari expressing his concerns about the country and its safety. In the letter, the former president warned that Nigeria is tipping towards a dangerous cliff and only the president could forestall such a looming disaster. Now, in this edition of the open letter, he stated that he was deeply worried about mainly the security issues and the poor management or mismanagement of diversity, citing the civil war that happened in Rwanda as an example of what could happen if the president refuses to take action. Now the question is, will President Buhari listen this time? Joining me in the studio, I have political analyst Ogochukwu Ikeaka with me. I almost said Ogochukwu. It's good to have you join us. All right, so now, we all know President Olusegun Obasanjo is an amazing guy when it comes to open letters. He writes it. Every administration, he always writes it. But you know the saying, do not shoot the messenger, you know. In this case, he's written a letter before, and this is the second, if not the third, in a series under this administration. And our question is, will the presidency listen? But let's rewind to the killing of this young lady. A lot of people have gone to visit her father. We've seen Southwest governors, we've seen the APC leader, and we've also seen the vice president go to visit him. And I asked a question, which I would like for you to help me expatiate on. There's so many people who would die on that stretch. There's so many people who are kidnapped, sometimes just killed at the end of the day. And nothing has happened up until you hit close to home.
Well, what we've seen over the last few days is just a sorry example of the kind of country we're in. And I say this with all sense of sympathy to Pa Fashoranti. The men and the politicians that have tried to visit him, the men and women that have tried to visit him over the last few days are not there because they want to sympathize with him, all right? For them, it's another political statement.
How do you mean? Somebody died, and for the person in question, she's a daughter of someone who the Southwest reveres
just say
a whole
something.
lot.
This is not the first time this is happening. So why is everybody going to Pa Fashoranti's house? Right? It's
not everybody. It's the vice president who's from the Southwest. No, it's the APC leader who's from the Southwest.
We're talking about all leading politicians in the Southwest. So it does not make sense. People have been dying, all right? So are they saying that there's different value in terms of human lives in Nigeria, all right? I don't have an issue with anybody visiting anybody, all right? They can do whatever they want to do. It's part of the constitution allows that. But we've seen the former minister die on the road in Nigeria. We've seen the former chief of army staff, I think, if I can remember correctly, that was killed a few months back. What happened? All right, so it's not about visit. The visit does not change anything for me. We're in a country where we have politicians that will go and visit somebody that lost the daughter. And you stand in front of the cameraman and say that it's the will of God. All right, so it's sad and it's totally disappointing. And for people that consider that kind of person a leader, I think they should check themselves.
I'm not necessarily holding brief for the APC leader, not in any way. But for the purpose of argument, he was trying to make a statement saying that if this didn't happen, or rather this happened so that it would force the hands of those who are in power to do the needful. I'm guessing that maybe that's what the statement meant.
It didn't mean anything. It doesn't have any meaning, all right? A few days back, we saw the report that the Honorable Speaker met with some of the people that have been part of this crisis over the last... Why is he meeting them? On what grounds? He's not the Chief Security Officer. He's not the IG. He's not the Minister of Interior. Why? Are you giving them amnesty? So you see, at the end of the day, we have people that don't understand the position they occupy. And they're not interested in solving these issues, all right? They're just there for photo ops, all right?
We have a clip of the APC leader speaking to press. We will try to get that out. Hopefully we'll get that clip to come up. But in the meantime, let's look at the situation of kidnapping.
Yeah.
I tell you what, a friend of mine came from Port Harcourt over the weekend and was complaining that he's thinking about moving his family away because his driver was kidnapped, his friend was kidnapped. It's happening every other day. And sometimes they're killed.
Yeah.
Now, we have this widespread situation, and it took just one person for the government to at least make a statement about it. But we have security chiefs, we have the IGP, and several people have been talking about this. What Professor Olusegun has also spoken about this issue, but it seems to fall on deaf ears. Why do you think the presidency, the security agencies are somewhat silent on this issue?
See, apart from about your friend that you mentioned, sorry that happened to the person. And we just saw in the news earlier today that Samson Siasia, the mom was kidnapped again. And that's like back-to-back kidnapping. And so I don't have issue with Obasanjo writing a letter. He knows how to write a letter. Professor Olusegun is a noble lawyer, so he can write anything he wants to write. He can string out words like as many as they can. But the truth is this: they are talking to a president that has no single motivation on God's green earth to do anything. Why
would you say that? The president is doing stuff.
If the president is doing stuff, they kill somebody. Should I mention the people that have died over the last few months and few weeks?
You can.
No, I can, all right? From the northeast up to this moment, all right? In Katsina just a few days ago, it was reported, it was in the news, all right? More than 10 people lost their lives. It's up to 48 hours, all right? So the truth is that, see, leadership is about performance, all right? So we're in a climb, we're in a country, we're in a society where a lot of people will go back to the presidency and saying kumbaya with him and praise him and tell him that he's the best thing after sliced bread or it's the best thing that has ever happened to Nigeria. There is no single motivation for President Buhari to fix what is happening, all right? He's divorced.
Why do you think there is no motivation? Do you need motivation? Just for the purpose of conversation.
Yeah.
There is a lady who died in South Africa from Anambra State. It took a Governor, Willie Obiano, to push on this issue to come back to the fore. We have so many issues. The Amosun Arsenal case where we have guns. There's so many stories. Do you not necessarily think that there's just a lot on the plate of the president? Hence the reason why
we can't make excuses for him.
I am not. I'm just asking questions.
And that's what I'm saying. We can't even, that can be part of our conversation, all right? He's the General Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If he's tired, if he's weak, if he's not mentally capable to handle such tasks, he should just get out of the room, all right? He said if he can't bear the heat in the kitchen, then leave the kitchen, all right? So for me, it has nothing to do. See, President Obasanjo has his fault, all right? I disagree with him on some things, all right? But on this, I don't want to look at the messenger. I want to take at the message is important. What Professor Inka has said is important. But the truth is that these are men that enabled this guy to come back in 2015, all right? There were no way in this earth that showed that this man has the capacity to lead, all right? The capacity to do anything. Some might disagree, but that is the truth, all right? Because if you give somebody something to handle for you, the idea is that if you come back 10 years, like we saw for the people that are Christian in the Holy Book, where you give a servant something, come back in 6 months, you expect him to multiply it, all right? If the past president, Goodluck Jonathan, left this country with you, it's not as worse as it is at this point, all right? So the idea is that if something is handed over to you in terms of leadership, you should improve on it, no matter how little, all right? The performance evaluation is an art, all right? We've not had that so far. Our entire security structure as a country is collapsed from the north to the south. Bayelsa, Samson Siasia, this is somebody that is influential, played for Nigeria, was former coach of the Super Eagles, and his mom kidnapped back to back, all right? So it's not just about the president, the whole state. And at the end of the day, you know why I mentioned the president is because the IGP reports to the president. It does not report to the state governor. So already we have a constitution that allows our security architecture not to function properly. And we have a president that is not interested in doing anything. I have
so many questions to ask. But before we go to the root cause, or what we could think would be the cause of all of these problems, let's talk about the service chiefs. I mean, in Senate Climes, just the police commissioner...
You say Senate Climes. We're not...
No, just hold on. Does the police chief or the police... sheriff, whoever is in charge of that district, wait to hear from a president or a governor or a mayor to swing into action when insecurity is rife in the land? Why do we always have to wait? Yes, of course, this is not absolving the president of anything, but we also seem to see the body language of the police to only be very good at releasing statements, but the action and the work in making sure that these things are curbed we do not necessarily see it, do we?
One of the biggest thought leaders on leadership in the world, John Maxwell, he once said that everything lies and falls under leadership, right? I don't expect, see, the service chief has his work cut out. He has his job portfolio, he has his JD.
The president's oath of office is different from the oaths that a police officer took.
No.
And his oath is to protect and serve.
The IGP reports to the president,
but
right? The president appointed him, right? And the president is in charge of the Nigeria police force. He's the grand commander. He's not the governor of Lagos State, right? So sometimes, if you look at how this constitution has been tweaked, you understand some things, all right? So see, the issue is that if the IGP is not doing enough, all right, we have a Minister of Interior that the only thing that he knows how to do in this country is just to give us the days of the public holidays, all right? It's not, we can't hear any conversation. Okay, what is the entire security structure of Nigeria at this point? So at the end of the day, because everything lies and falls under leadership, you appointed these guys, all right, or women, whoever they may be. If they are not performing, it's your responsibility. If I'm a team lead in a company or in any corporation and I'm given an assignment to do a job, all right, and the people that I'm working with are not performing, and to an extent, they're making sure that the organization visions are not achieved. What do? The manager, whoever is in charge, will not come and ask them. He appointed me, so he will question me. And most importantly, can even query the person, discipline the person, or sack the person. So the president has the right to hire and fire anybody. And if these guys are not doing this job properly well, and we know they're not doing this job properly well at this point, take them out. And if you cannot take them out, you take the full blame.
Maybe the president doesn't see that these people are not doing a bad job. Maybe he thinks that
then his vice president will not.
He made a statement recently when he came back from his travels that the IGP has lost weight. It means he's working hard.
I think that was before, after the election. You see, we'll be here. I've said this thing a couple of times, all right? I don't know about any about the person, but for me, it feels depressing. And you see, because these are statistics. They're not just 1, 2, 3, 4. These are people's sisters, mothers, all right? Talking about Samsia's mother that was kidnapped, all right? Sometimes we say without any sense of emotion, but the truth is that it's painful because at the end of the day, people are involved, all right? And for the president to just come and make a sad joke about losing weight, you're not employed to do fit farm. All right, if you are fat or not, it's none of my business. The most important thing is for you to make sure that the job people are secure. There's a sense of security. So it's not just in the northeast as well. In the south side, in Port Harcourt, in Bayelsa, even down to the southeast, people are not safe. They may do by the same thing. So at the end of the day, if things are working well, Professor Olusegun will not be writing letter at his age. The same thing with Olusegun Obasanjo.
Talking about the letter, let's look at some of the things that the former president said. In that letter, he said, and I quote, "All calls and cries can only continue to be ignored at the expense of Nigeria's unity if not its continued existence. To be explicit and without equivocation, Mr. President and General, I am deeply worried about 4 avoidable calamities. Number 1, abandoning Nigeria into the hands of criminals who are all being suspected, rightly or wrongly, as Fulanis and terrorists or Boko Haram." He also said, number 2, spontaneous or planned reprisal attacks against Fulanis which may inadvertently or advertently mushroom into pogrom or Rwanda type of violence. Number 3, similar attacks against any other tribe or ethnic group anywhere in the country initiated by rumors, fears, intimidation, and revenge capable of leading to pogrom. And finally, he says, violent uprising beginning from one section of the country and spreading quickly to other areas, leading to dismemberment of the country. So I'm just wondering, these 4 things that have been stated, it's not different from all the hues and cries and the reports that we have been. So I'm wondering, what do you think is really responsible for the president's silence?
They're different, all right? Because at this point, before I used to have this conversation, nobody said anything like this, all right? I remember when we started having issues of killings in the northeast, all right? We could hear about criminals' activities, destroyed farms, killed cows. At the end of the day, it doesn't make sense that the pastoralists or the people that we call the Fulani Herdsmen, all right? It doesn't make sense that they will go and kill themselves, all right? So at the end of the day, you see, why are people kidnapping in the south? Why are people killing people in the northeast, all right? Because there's a thriving industry here, right? So some people know that they can go and commit crime, you know, they can go and kidnap. And sometimes we've heard stories of where the victim come out and say that even the police help them to pay compensation. All right, it's not the first time, it's not the second time. All right, so at the end of the day, we're in this situation because the president hasn't seen the urgency to act, and it's sad because what President Obasanjo is saying, ex-President Obasanjo is saying, is truth. All right, for example, there is this sense of fear. All right, when you mention Fulani, everybody thinks that all Fulanis are herdsmen. All right, I don't buy into that. All right, so at the end of the day, we need to understand that. See, there's some things that are happening in some way that is not nice, it's not good. You shouldn't put an entire ethnic group and rump them. So you can say all of them are herdsmen, all of them are murderers. That's not true, and that is part of the conversation that President Obasanjo is trying to bring to everybody's attention. And also, these things can happen. All right, before someone might feel attacked that they killed somebody I know, and it can lead to something serious. And we've seen that this president at this point does not know how to manage conflict. He doesn't even know how to manage a security business. So at the end of the day, if this continues to go like this, there is everything that things can spiral out of control. And I buy into that. I buy into that sense of into that argument. So my issue is that the only thing that can force his hand, if you ask me, all right, because it feels like he's in a state where nobody can talk to him, all right, and we don't need that kind of a leader, all right. If the pressure continues, maybe from the international community, because for someone like...
Why do we always have to do that?
No, but that is how it works.
We don't help America solve America's problems. No, because why do we always have to go to them? Why can't we solve our own problems? We can't.
And that's the honest truth, all right? People can feel bad about it, and people can feel sad and feel like we can't.
So you're saying Nigeria is incapable of dealing with its own problems?
No, I'm not saying Nigeria. I'm saying that President Buhari is incapable, all right, of dealing with the situation at hand.
But my question is, why do we always have to run to the international community? It makes us look weak.
No, it doesn't make us look weak, all right? Because Nigeria to a large extent is dependent on aid. And some let me say, business deals that comes from across the world. So at the end of the day, even if he cannot listen to the sense of reason down here, he can compel him with economic sanction or some other thing. He goes to UK for treatment, all right? If there's a lot of pressure on him, because sometimes every day just move and fly to UK. If there's a lot of pressure on the UK government by Nigerians in UK saying, okay, this man comes here to take treatment, whereas the hospitals in Nigeria are poor, you will see that if not for any reason, people will shame him into doing something productive. Because as it stands now, nobody is safe in this country, because nobody is safe in this country. Papa Soranti is 90-something years old, just lost the daughter, right? And all of you that have been going there to say sorry, this, sorry, that, what have you done over the last few months, all right? See, the whole Southwest, this security is rising, all right? And we're not talking about the kidnappers and the rest of them. We're talking about court clashes everywhere. So all this thing does not help. It's not good for business.
Let's also talk about, and this is not necessarily just about the Buhari administration, let's talk about the value that we place on human lives. It's easy for us to quickly say, oh, pray for Sudan or whatever country it is that has a problem. But the number of deaths that are being recorded in this country every day, it's splashed on our newspapers every single day. But it seems like we have somewhat grown a thick skin to feeling, you know, some form of, I don't know, empathy for loss of lives in this country. And maybe that's also because of the way our leadership is, and it's also somewhat, there's a rippling effect that has rippled, you know, it's more like all of us have somewhat tapped from it. Right. Because we don't seem to place value or premium on these lives anymore. It has to probably hit close to somebody you know, then you start screaming about it.
No, I think the thing is that we're in a country that all of us in Nigeria in an abusive relationship with Nigeria. And that's the honest truth, all right? And it's hard to say and it's hard to admit it, all right? It took me close to 2 hours to get here this evening. I left my office around 4 o'clock in Ikeja. And so, and this is a road that ideally I should just come here quickly and do whatever I have to do here and leave. And at the end of the day, I'm bringing this down and not take it to the issue. People have seen stories of kidnapping, of killings over a long period of time. Psychologically and emotionally, some people are drained out. People are zoned out. They're tired, all right? Because the more you complain, it seems that nothing is happening. But the truth is this, all right? You can't, like I tell people, you can't just tap out, all right? This is our country. You have to keep, as an active citizen, you have a part to play in asking, in demanding that, okay, things be done right, all right? If you don't do that, as a citizen, we can't make progress, all right? So I understand how people sometimes feel weak and feel tired. It's not easy, all right? It takes a lot to ask to keep demanding. The mental energy, some people don't have it, all right? And it's difficult being in Nigeria. So that abusive relationship, a lot of Nigerians have abusive relationships. So some people, see, this is a country, according to the UNDP.
But if we all become docile and withdrawn from it, how do we expect that our leaders will react? Because they're mirroring us one way or the other. If they see our attitude towards, or how we act towards,
they know that we're docile.
So exactly. So what going forward? Because we need to deal with this issue. Yeah. This cannot be just another letter that,
this is from, if you ask me,
the former president always writes.
If you ask
and we do not want just another response from the federal government. Nigerians do have a part to play in all of this. So where do we come in? And my other question is, where are the civil societies that we always see screaming during the elections, before and after, and you know, all of those people, where are they? Because people are dying on a daily basis.
Well, the civil societies, they all have their different agenda, all right? And it seems some of them are more focused on election issues, some are focused on different issues, which is right, which is valid, all right? Everybody have them. And if that is what they want to do, is fine, all right? Governance is encompassing.
But whatever the agenda is, protection of human life is most important. It should be paramount, right?
But if for example, if an organization is not, that is not their main focus, all right? Maybe their main focus is on climate energy, on climate change, and I wouldn't be asking them to do what the CAC did not allow them, didn't give them the right sense to do. So everybody should talk about human rights. What should get involved? That is normal, all right. But there are some CSOs that champion this thing. Amnesty International has been on the forefront of this thing, and so far, what are we? So we can't just stop, right? So the thing that the conversation has to continue. But the truth is this, all right. For example. And that is why sometimes you have to blame the citizens, all right? You have a governor, all right? You have leaders, all right? You have House of Representatives, all right? What is everybody talking about? The minority election, House of Reps, you know, things that are inconsequential, that doesn't make any true meaning, all right? You have the Speaker of the House of Representatives meeting with criminals, all right? He doesn't have the mandate. So when he flies down to Lagos, because he's from Lagos, all right? You see people that have not eaten, people that are broke and busted, all right? People that don't have anything, you go and be clapping for him, all right? So there is no way, he doesn't have any motivation to go and do anything in Abuja.
So you're saying that we have failed on our part as citizens to hold our leaders?
Exactly. There's a failure. There's a failure on the part of the citizens to hold the leaders accountable, right? From Castina, from Daura, from the president's constituency, right? Because if the president is not doing good, if he comes back to the constituency, don't say that he's our brother or he's our uncle, because that is the problem. Because so people now start seeing issues from the prism or from the eyes of being our brother, our sibling, or whoever it is, maybe nephew or even third generation uncle. So it does not make sense. And we can't make progress on that basis. We can't.
Well, we'll take a short break. Gochuki Keko is a political analyst. He's still going to be here in the studio. And when we return, we'll be speaking on Amosu and the arsenal he surrendered. Of course, well, we're not going to really talk about that. We're going to be looking at the national leader of the APC and, of course, questioning the claims that killers of Funke were members of the Fulani herders. We'll be right back after the break.